The allegations are piling up against James Charles. Let's just get straight into the video because there is just too much evidence to go through. So the whole paedophile scandal regarding James Charles has just been growing and growing. The more he tries to ignore it, the more people are getting angry and talking about it. We've been following it for a while over here at KUCKITECH. Let's just get straight into it. So James Charles is a 21-year-old beauty YouTuber currently living in LA, and the allegations being that he's talking to underage boys, minors, flirting with them, sending them naked pictures and asking for them in return, putting them in compromising positions, especially considering they are fans of James Charles and would feel almost obliged to do what he asks because they look up to him. That's what nearly every single person has said that has been contacted and has come forwards. In terms of evidence, the boys have come forwards with screenshots, with recordings, Snapchats, Instagram messages, and we have plenty of them to get through today, so let's just get straight into it. So back in February, a TikTok influencer came forward with some screenshots saying that James Charles had been messaging him, asking for nudes, sending nudes, and it was just a really uncomfortable situation. Boy claims that he told James his age, and then James was saying stuff like, oh, I wish you were older, I can't wait for you to reach a certain age, or something like that. So very, very creepy. Since that happened, James Charles made a statement, not fully denying it, but also kind of accusing him of being a bit of a liar. Since that happened, the boy that came forward with the evidence had his TikTok banned and deleted. Very controversial, like persecuting the victim. Just to confirm, there was definitely naked photographs of James Charles because they were all over the internet and we discussed them on my channel as well. Quoting screenshots said by the boy, he said, James started making the conversation very sexual and it made me really uncomfortable. In James's statement back, he said, completely false. He claims that the fan lied about his age, saying that he was 18 years old, and when James found out that he wasn't, he said that he was really uncomfortable, which almost seems like a bit of a less likely story because I'm not going to include the guy's face because he's too young to really bring into these sorts of stories like that. But let me just say, he's got a very, very young face, like all of these boys do. They don't look 18, they all look 16, 15, like very, very young. Shortly after this happened, two more allegations came out from two more completely new boys saying that they had the exact same experience with James Charles. Another boy that looked a little bit older came forward saying that James had said he wasn't interested in anything with this boy, but proceeded to call him daddy and babe, and that was on a live stream that we also discussed here at KUCKITECH. So in today's big story, another 16-year-old has come forward from TikTok posting screenshots of the conversation. He says that he was made to delete the screenshots from TikTok because his parents were contacted by the police. However, the screenshots are still circulating around the internet. We're going to go through them together today. You know I don't like to keep the evidence from you, so here is the original first video that was removed. So I'm going to break through this just so you can catch everything because it was a very fast video. The first clip is him saying, I miss you, James, with a love heart. The music is a song saying, she make it clap, which talks about the bum cheeks clapping. That's what it means for anyone that doesn't know. The boy's also posing topless in this video, so a little bit controversial. This first screenshot is here. As you can see, it reads, oh, okay, good night, cutie, with an unhappy face and some broken love hearts. Another one of James Charles saying, oh, that will be so cute. And then in December 2020, James Charles comes forward and confronts the boy. So December 2020, James sends some threatening messages to this boy, and I believe at the time this was happening, the boy was actually 15 years old, right? So throughout the whole conversation, he might now be 16, but I believe back then he was 15. James Charles messaged the alleged 15-year-old saying, what the F is your problem posting screenshots of my snaps to you on your private story? I strongly recommend that you keep my name out of your mouth or we're going to have a major problem. Imagine a 21-year-old messaging a 15-year-old. Can I just say something here? What if it was a 21-year-old man messaging a 15-year-old girl saying, I strongly recommend that you keep my name out of your mouth or we're going to have a major problem? Like, why are we okay with this? Because it's a young boy, right? Like it's a child. The gender really shouldn't matter. And that's just one thing to say. Like, there's been so many paedophile scandals in YouTube history. And the fact that the men against women is so highly publicized when it's a 15-year-old girl talking to a 21-year-old man. But when the role is reversed and it's a boy, it's just like, oh, no one seemed to care. And this is not the first time this has happened on YouTube. This is not the first time I've discussed a story of this nature on YouTube. James wrote at the end of that message, I'd love to remind you that you were the one that called me cute and said that you were bisexual and into me. So James is almost like gaslighting him and victim blaming him as if it's okay that James chased a 15-year-old because the 15-year-old said he was bisexual and he thought that James was cute. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm just a little bit confused here. Like, is it the 15-year-old's fault that this has happened, that James responded and proceeded to send all these snaps? Now also, if we look above this, we do see that him wishing James happy birthday in November. So I'm guessing that was the birthday when he switched over from 15 to 16. And since then, the boy did send another photograph topless to James as well. I do think that there is a sense of, you know, it's not like James is completely going cold, like he is pursuing people and talking to people that are interested in him. It's not like he's completely just targeting, but I think that's probably the case for most groomers. They most likely wouldn't continue to target someone that didn't show any interest. They would focus on the people that were looking for affirmation. So that's just one thing to mention as well. Just because we see the boy sort of engaging with James, I don't think that validates any sense that they're sort of gaslighting him or making him do anything that he wouldn't have done otherwise. Like, James is a fully grown adult, right? And these are 15-year-old boys, and their idol is reaching out to them and messaging them privately, calling them cute and stuff like that. So I think some people will play into that, right? That's just my opinion. If it was a 21-year-old saying another 21-year-old naked photographs and then saying that they were being harassed, it would be a different story. But the fact that they're 15, I think that invalidates them pursuing James, right? Because as an adult, if a child pursues you, you wouldn't give into it. You would just be like, no, like, do you know what I mean? The next snap is him just looking a bit disgusted, and then it goes back to some more snaps. He said, hold up, and James said, get a life and respect people's privacy. The boy said, we already talked about this. James said, that's a complete lie, you idiot. You're backpedaling because you got caught. And then he said, no bad intentions whatsoever with regards to posting on the Instagram story, private story, the screenshots with James. So obviously James added this guy to his close friends list, which is also a little bit concerning because it means that generally if someone is a big fan of James Charles, they might add him to their close friends list. James sees someone that likes his photo or leaves a comment and clicks on their profile, and he can see that he's been added as a close friend. It almost gives him an easier opportunity to engage with them and send them a message, right? It almost sends a beacon, like, contact me, right? James said, don't ever speak about me again. I added you and minded my own business until you called. And then it cuts off. James then says, lying about your age to bait someone is against the law, by the way. The boy replies, I didn't delete anything, and which messages? Because James was accusing him of like deleting messages from the Snapchat, which I didn't even know you could do. I knew you could like unsave messages, but I didn't know you could delete messages. So I don't know. James then said, the messages of you admitting that you lied about your age, I saved them and now they're gone. And then he said, I don't know, but I can promise you I didn't delete anything, lol. And then on March 11th, he sent a message which he deleted. And then this day he sent James a message saying hey, because James had obviously posted a story on his Snapchat. Earlier in that message, because he scrolled back up as we go through the video, he said, get your effing friend in line before I do. Lying about your age to bait someone is against the law, by the way. So basically saying, get your friend in line before I do. So like, tell your friend to be quiet, right? What? Like, we're talking to a guy that was 15. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. It's just a bit whatever. Obviously, you know, we have to be truthful and fair here. James accuses him of lying about his age. The boy doesn't deny it. The boy hasn't said anything, but he also said he hasn't deleted anything, right? So I think someone needs to really just ask this boy straight up, did you lie about your age? Because that is something to remember. I think it's a difficult position with people on the internet if someone does give a false age. It's very, very difficult. In today's society, people don't tend to ask each other for like ID because it's obviously kind of a privacy thing with your address and your date of birth and your photograph and legal name. Yeah, but at the same time, I do kind of think if you're dating people that you have to ask for ID, I kind of think that's a concern in itself, right? Anyway, that's everything for that 10-second video. I feel like I did need to blow that out a bit because there was a lot of evidence packed into it. An Instagram account called Deaf Noodles did also post more receipts, so this was a 28-second video. I'm going to include the full thing on screen and then we can break it down. So as we can see here, this is the screenshot of James Charles messaging this boy, and the boy's clicking on all the photos to make sure that everyone can see the evidence and stuff like that. And it's just the full conversation to show that it's real. And judging by the previous messages that we've seen James send people, it does look to be real. There was a message there saying, hey, like this guy's messaging James Charles and he's only 16 years old. So I don't know who he'd messaged, who his friend had messaged, but definitely a bit controversial. Yeah, so it looks like one of James's friends reached out to someone saying that he's been messaging a 16-year-old. So this is kind of what's confusing here with the age. And I do think we need to sort of find out what's going on here, because you can hear me throughout the video getting a bit confused with the birthdays and the struggling, because now the boy's 16 years old, but he did celebrate a birthday in December 2020. So was he 15 before that when he was first messaging James? Do you know what I mean? But also just generally speaking, the fact that a 21-year-old is threatening a 16-year-old in private messages with these sorts of words, it's kind of a bit extreme, right? Especially someone of James' caliber that has this much power. We're talking millions of Instagram likes, we're talking millions of followers. It's intimidating if someone of that caliber reaches out to you and says, get your friend in line before I do, or we're gonna have a major problem. Like, James he's in a position of power to ruin this guy's career potential for the future if you launch some smear campaign against him, which these sorts of influencers do, and we all know, right? Yeah, so just to go back here, sorry, it was November, not December. James wished the boy happy birthday on November 29th, 2020. So that shows that James was at least aware that the boy was celebrating a birthday, but perhaps James thought he was going from 16 to 17, who knows? But again, just for context, right? right? Def Noodles did a poll on Twitter. 16,000 people responded to it. The poll was James Charles ... prison or not prison. 93.9% said prison and 6.1% said not prison. So to add to this, James Charles' victim, the one that we just spoke about, has said on social media that the reason he deleted the video from his TikTok was because his parents or he was contacted by the police and his parents asked him to remove it. Despite this, obviously a lot of people already recorded it and posted it across social media, but now it's no longer on their name, right? So it's kind of interesting that James would manage to track down this guy in terms of like his parents and which police force. Like, I don't know if they'd shared addresses or like full names or something, do you know what I mean? But that was kind of like, wow, James has, you know, obviously managed to nail down exactly where this person is and which state he's in, because unless he has a very specific name, that would be challenging, right? In the video, you can see the boy looks a bit defeated. He looks a bit depressed. He sort of sat in the dark with the curtains closed. The boy said in his comment, "Parents made me take it down because they apparently got contacted by the police. Everything in the video is 100% real." Sammy Cheeks 28 said, "Because you got caught, LMAO." And then he said, got caught doing what? And then Blonde Jeff said, "I guess being a celebrity has its perks, but silencing people, nothing new. But he got caught in 4K. Definitely quite interesting." I am a bit concerned here about Sammy Cheeks 28's comment. You know, when there's a boy that's 15/16 years old coming forwards that does have hard evidence that they've been exchanging messages with a large social media influencer who is not remotely a minor, I don't think that the right thing for us to be doing is attacking that person and calling them a liar and stuff like that. I think we should absolutely scrutinise the evidence. Ultimately, it should go to the police who scrutinise it fully, but we as a community have the right to look over it ourselves as well and make our own decisions on what we decide to do socially as a group, right? But yeah, I just don't think that this is productive. Like, these sort of passive aggressive comments accusing the victim of being a liar. Like, if we did this to a girl, it would be a different story, right? So why is it okay to do it to a guy that's 15? Finally, to add to this, the cherry that I want to put on top of this whole story is another person coming forward. So they are not a minor, they're not underage. The boy's name is Timmy Turner. That's what he's used on social media anyway. And he said that his friend had a very similar experience with James Charles, and the kind of tone of the messages that other people have been complaining about in terms of the sexuality, the naked photographs, the uncomfortableness of the situation, especially when reaching out to a fan, was emulated and replicated by his close friend, and he's posting the screenshot. So obviously the friend probably wants to maintain his anonymity because James is a big influencer and he's already called someone out of being a liar, and that person's TikTok has been deleted, so there's been damage done to the victim already, right? So anyway, Timmy said, "Don't really have a bad experience with this guy, but my friend did. Anyways, the way he talks just proves other people's stories and how it's a constant recurring theme. I don't know, maybe this will help someone with the whole James Charles thing. I feel bad for the other guys." He then went on to expose these screenshots on Twitter, so why don't we read through these together? The messages with James Charles. James said, "I think facial hair / body hair is so hot on guys." Yeah, we've already heard that. Like, we've had so many awkward messages of James talking about hairy bodies and making him finish and... And then the guy responded saying, "I'm like the total opposite. Also hate shaving my facial hair because my skin is so prone to razor burn for some weird reason." It's kind of funny how this guy completely just diffused the conversation away from that tone. James said, "Well, lucky for you, I am hairless, ha ha ha." So James has basically turned it back sexual again, saying like, "I have no hair on my body, hair." And then the boy just sent like a face back. And then James said, "So is mine, oh my god, it's so annoying," with regard, I guess, to the razor burn rash, whatever. There's something called a dry shaver. Lots of people use them. Like, they don't make any harsh contact, just go over the skin. So I don't know. But then the guy said, "But like facials and defoliants don't hurt my skin whatsoever. It's very strange. Let me finish showering and I'll tell you more about me." So that's, again, kind of just like neutral, not really too sexual. It's not a crime to have a shower, and he didn't really look to be like pushing it in James's face or anything like that. There was nothing cheeky there whatsoever. However, James responded, "KK, shake my head, shower snaps would have been more fun. Haha, sounds good." So that's kind of like, okay, making it sexual again. But obviously, you know, James is talking to someone that's a fan, and this person then went on to send their Snapchat like ID so James could add them on Snapchat. And this is where we have a bit of a problem here. Like, people that are fans of people are exceptionally vulnerable in these sorts of situations because they want to please this person that they look up to, especially when we are talking about 15, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, for example, right? 17-year-olds, most people at that age have not left home for an extended period of time, have never fended for themselves, have not had to independently manage pretty harsh relationship drama. They might have had some broken hearts and stuff like that from younger relationships, but not really the hard stuff, right, that you tend to experience in your younger 20s, you know, stuff like that. So with that in mind, I don't think they have not the social intelligence, but the social experience to really comprehend what's happening when they're talking to someone that's quite a bit older than them. If a 16-year-old is talking to a 16-year-old, if a 15-year-old is talking to a 15-year-old, they're kind of at the same level in terms of their emotional development, right? But when there's this kind of age gap, 15, 21, anything above 18, you know, is kind of like you've matured, right, to a certain extent where you're kind of trusted by yourself. But 15 is still a baby, right? That's where we kind of draw the line, is it being a child, legally and socially. Anyway, let's continue. Timmy went on to say, this is the DMs between my friend and I. There are so many people out there that have been a victim of James Charles that are afraid to come out and talk about it because he will use his power to shut them down. Now, that comment is something that we have seen replicated earlier in the video with that whole message about get your friend in line or I will. And we're going to have a big problem if you do this kind of thing again with the posting on the story, right? So the boy said to his friend, bruh, have you seen everything that's been going on? About what, James? Yeah, I saw that. It's crazy how everyone is on his side. Yeah, I know, but it's whatever. He's going to get exposed again. He talks to so many guys, lol, right? You should make a TikTok about it. Nah, I don't want to be famous for that or known for that. Like, I'd rather just chill on the low key. I don't really care about it. Is that a thing now? Like, oh, you should make a TikTok about it. Like, oh my God, like this is the new social media and I don't feel like I'm really like, I've used it for a few years, but I don't feel integrated with it yet. Like, oh, I'll just make a TikTok. Like, what? How do you just make a TikTok? It's like, I'll just make an Instagram photo. Like, how do you just make it? It's so much effort, right? The boy responded, the victim of James Charles, saying, yeah, I know, but I also believe in karma and it's just bound to happen. So, and you know what? It did. It is right now in the present. The boy responded, if a guy was doing this to a girl, they would be on trial so quickly. I wonder how he keeps getting away with it. True, like the Lopez guy getting sued. They should be in jail. Oh, very, very true, right? That's the thing we have to reiterate here, I think. I think gender roles in this situation is difficult because, you know, obviously people are born with like male genitals or female genitals, but the whole idea of like gender roles of like men being the protector, the provider, women being the carer and stuff like it's a thing that humans have developed over time and that a lot of humans now are denouncing. And I think in this situation it also applies because we just have two people that were born with different genitals, right? A female and a male, both 15 years old, but we perceive the emotional damage being done to them at different levels. I don't think we can really substantiate that statement, right? Because it is just two children. The last tweet says, like, I'm definitely not saying it was for me a personal grooming situation at all. I'm saying if you read the way he DMs me when he first talks to me compared to all of the other minors coming out about the situations, it's the exact same format. The way this man had so many people telling us he was a pedo and lied his way out of it. The paedophilia drama in the gay community is so unbearably disgusting. I think paedophilia generally is disgusting. I don't think we need to isolate it to a particular community, but I do think that it definitely goes with less harsh consequences when it comes to man on man. What do you think about this situation? Do you think that James is going to end up in jail? I do have a ton of more evidence, but I'm going to pack it into a second video because there's just too much to include in this one video. So let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash the like button every time we do a titty flies into space. I want to say a huge thank you for watching. I'm just going to close up the video here and say I feel very happy that the internet is having a response to this finally, because when it first happened, the response was muted, more muted than I would have expected. And in previous scandals of this context, the internet has completely let it pass and not done anything, right? So the fact that James is now getting called out on this, I hope will almost set a precedent for what we expect to see in the future when it comes to older gay men going after very young boys, right? Because that's something that in the past people just haven't cared about. So fingers crossed, this is the beginning of more protection towards young people, males as well as females, right? Anyway, I want to say a huge thank you for watching. I'm going to be reading comments down below and I will see you in the next video very soon. Be sure to smash the notification bell so you don't miss any. Bye.